Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Shadow. Say hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
So, what do we have going on today? Well, we are 2 weeks away from the big February 2nd update. And unfortunately, staging, both normal staging, aux 1 and aux 2, appear to be completely borked at the moment. So we're just on the normal main branch and not really much we're able to show off today, with the exception of the bunny mask for the Lunar New Year. But yeah, unfortunately, we wanted to be on the aux 2 branch to show off the changes to the industrial progress over the past week. But apparently, what happened is earlier today, the devs tried to release an update, a server update that updated the version of Unity. And as you probably know, but maybe you don't, Unity is the engine that runs the game, it's the underlying game engine. And for whatever reason, that update did not work. And so they reverted it. But staging branches have not yet gotten quite fixed from that false start, that update and the reversion. So we're not able to show off industrial stuff today. Unfortunately, we will be able to show it off next week and the following week prior to it going live in the February 2nd update. Nevertheless, we can talk about what's going on in the industrial progress and other development news. Before we get into it, as always, if you have questions as we're going through, feel free to do at shadow_rustified in chat, and we'll get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. Also, if you're wondering about wipes, when are whips? Well, for Rustified servers, they are wiping at the normal time, which is 3 p.m. local time for the region. And it is the weekly Thursday and bi weekly Thursday wipe servers wiping today. So that's going to be your mains, mediums, trios, small, Baron, Zen Labs, and the like. And so EU wiped 2 hours ago. I had to look at my clock there and do some quick maths. Yeah, EU wiped 2 hours ago, and AUSEA wiped like 11, 12 hours ago. And then US will wipe in 2 hours. And that's going to be US main, the mediums, trio, small, Baron, and Zen Labs. Once again, are the servers wiping today. Map wipes only, as we are mid month. And the next forced map wipe and blueprint wipe for most Rustified servers will be 2 weeks from today on February 2nd, with the update coming out. And now, the big thing with that update, and this is what's currently slated to go live, is the industrial system. That's coming February 2nd. And it's currently been available for testing for a little over a week now on the aux 2 branch. If you joined us last week, you would have seen us on that showing off some use cases for this industrial system. If you're unaware, the industrial system basically is this whole new feature set of items, which, when combined together with existing items in the game, allows for automation around your bases in a way never before possible. Basically, you can automate the crafting of items, you can automate the storage of items, you can automate the smelting of materials, and you can combine all that together to do some really complex, cool things, such as just a Dropbox for whatever resources you just gathered. That Dropbox can be piped through different conveyors with filters to organize the stuff, send certain materials in to be smelted in the electric furnace. And then, even adding on top of that, from there out of the electric furnace, you can send the items through a conveyor to other storage or to an auto crafter to craft things like gunpowder. So you can drop sulfur ore off at a Dropbox in your base, have it sucked in deeper in your base, have it automatically smelted, and then from there go to an auto crafter with a gunpowder blueprint and auto craft your gunpowder. And even from there, you can add on it and add another step in the chain that then starts crafting bullets or whatever you want. So interesting stuff with this industrial system. If you haven't checked it out and you want kind of an overview, head over to rustified.com and you can scroll all the way down to my article from last week, and that's a industrial system overview article that gives you really a rundown of each new item in the industrial system and how they all work together, not only with each other but also the items that exist in the game already. And from there, you get a kind of sense of what you can build and how you would go about doing that. Now, this week, as expected, we have seen some more progress on the industrial system. And a lot of it is just fixes and additional quality of life or feature set build outs, but also what we saw and probably most significant this week in the realm of the industrial system was some real big balance shifted. And that is with regards to the industrial pipes. Now, originally they were working just like the wire and the hose tool, where you could bring it all willy nilly through any wall. And it did have the limitations of the 30-meter max length, but you could bring it through walls easily and no problem. And that caused a lot of concern for people, understandably so, around the balance of that, because if big groups can just pipe their stuff deep, deep into armored, walled off bases, that's going to really throw off potentially the balance of rating in the game. Well, what the team did this week was they changed it so that when you're using the industrial pipes, you can no longer go through walls or even pixel gaps in building. Now they have to be piped through closed doors. So it can be through a closed door, but you can't just go easily through a wall. So that should make it so that at least people building these bases won't be able to wall off easily all their loot and cupboards and things like that. So that was a big change that hopefully satisfies some of those concerns around balance. And I imagine we're going to see some more changes between now and February 2nd to not only shift balance, but also improve the features and everything like that. One of the other things we saw this week was some fixes around the adapters. Last week were invulnerable and didn't have a hitbox, and now they can be destroyed apparently. And then the other thing is when an adapter, and the adapter is what you attach to either a furnace or a box. And then with that adapter, you can pipe things in and out. And basically, that adapter will also now light up a flash of green when an item is added and a flash of red when an item is removed to kind of give you a visual sense of what's going on by just looking at it. So that's pretty cool. And we're seeing some other things go on with the industrial stuff. If you have any questions about the industrial stuff as a whole, feel free to ask shadow_rustified in chat. I'm happy to explain everything given our current sense of what the system is. But keep in mind that this is all subject to change. It's, in fact, changed a lot from when we reported on it last week to just now this week. And so between now and 2 weeks from now, when it goes live, it is very subject to change. And once again, if you're just tuning in, unfortunately, we can't show this off today. We were planning on being on Aux 2 for the stream, but the staging branches are broken as of this morning, given that false launch. They tried to update Unity on a server update, but then it didn't work. They had to revert it. And we're not having luck connecting to staging branches now. So unfortunately, we can't show off the industrial stuff. Nevertheless, feel free to ask questions if you have any. Now, moving on in development news, also being worked on this week is RC drones. And this is, if you're not familiar, RC is remote controlled. So it's going to be a remote controlled drone. Now, when I first saw this branch a couple of weeks ago appear, my first thought was like a drone that you're controlling to go get some reconnaissance done, right? Maybe you're going to spy on your neighbors or something, or like keep an eye out on what's going on down the road type of thing. But based on commits this week, it looks like the RC drone is actually going to be directly connected to auto turrets. And in fact, what it looks like, and this is still on a separate branch, subject to change, all that good stuff, but based on commits, it looks like the turret laser will be scaled up and actually used as the crosshair for the drone within a certain range. So the idea, I guess, is that you'll be able to plop a drone up in the air. It will be synced up with one or maybe multiple of your auto turrets, and then you will actually be able to control the fire and aiming of the auto turret with the drone. So that's an interesting new concept coming in, still on a separate branch. Not sure if it's going to come in for February, but as soon as that gets merged in and is fully testable, we will definitely have more information for you on that. Also, in other development news, we've got more work on the upcoming newest monument from the looks of it, which is a nuclear missile silo. Now, this isn't a brand new branch. We've seen work on this silo being done for about 6 months now. So it's not clear exactly when we're going to see it come in the game, but keep in mind these monuments are hand built, custom built from the ground up. Generally speaking, they do take months and months to develop and get not only all the artwork done, but then the integration into the game, into proc gen, the loot balance, the NPC placement, all that stuff. So it is a very large process to actually successfully bring in a new monument into the game. The other thing that's interesting about a nuclear missile silo is, generally speaking, I believe those are underground, right? So this stands to be an underground, very large monument. Not the first, but it's interesting to see underground things. Now, speaking of underground as well, we've got procedural dungeons being worked on as well. And so this is, I don't know if it's going to be an addition to the cave system or if this is a, in fact, procedural cave system that's being worked on and they're just calling it dungeons because that's kind of the development nomenclature, or if this is going to be something else. I also don't know if the nuclear missile silo is underground and these dungeons are underground. Maybe they'll be connected and maybe they're going to be coming out in tandem to not only have the new underground monument, but maybe some dungeons associated with it that, given procedural nature of it, probably will change from map to map. Never, no two will ever be exactly the same as the idea. Also, this is all still on a separate branch. So keeping an eye on it. Once again, the nuclear missile silo has been 6 months in development so far. Not clear how close it is to being ready for launch. And the procedural dungeons is a relatively new branch that we've seen. So it might be several months until we see this stuff merged into staging in a testable form and then get ready for production. But regardless, we will keep you posted on the development of this as it progresses. Now, also, we have Happy Lunar New Year going on. As of Monday, we are entering the year of the rabbit. And so, with that, as you've probably seen in previous years, we've got some item store items to celebrate the festivities. If you go check out the item store on Steam, it did update earlier today. There is a cool new bunny mask. That's what it's called, bunny or rabbit mask.
It's a rabbit.
Rabbit mask, yeah, because it's Year of the Rabbit, right? I always say bunnies because it sounds cuter, right? But and there's also some other stuff, as you can see here on Artemis's screen. Here, there's some other Lunar New Year skins that you can go and purchase on the item store, and the mask looks really cool. So yeah, go pick one up, go grab it, and let us know if you have any questions about the mask. What is this mask a clone of? In the past, we've seen these things get added, and it's like normally a clone of like the wolf headdress or something like that. Do you guys off the top of your head see what this kind of is a clone of, or what the stats of this item are?
As far as I can see, it's the same stats as the other masks as well that we've had in the past.
Cool.
Yeah,
And
it's
that
the exact same as the wolf headdress.
Wolfie, yeah.
awesome. Cool. And that's in line with what we've seen with those items in the past. So not surprising
Bandanas
there.
too. Yep.
Cool. And then also, we've got some other stuff going on now in a huge quality of life change. And it's like, it's so cool how these small little commits can then just forevermore make your life easier in game going forward. And one of those just happened yesterday. It is allow doors to be placed on top of deployables, such as boxes, sleeping bags, etc. So if you've ever been trying to place a door and you got some other person put a bag or a box too close and you can't place it and you got to remove it's such a pain, right? Now that should be going away. That is on the February miscellaneous fixes branch. I imagine it will get merged in for the February update. As it stands, we're not able to test it right now because even if staging was working, it's not merged into staging yet. So, but just know, as of the February 2nd update, it appears that you will be able to place doors on top of deployables like boxes and sleeping bags and the like. So that's really cool. Also, they changed the mushroom icon to red instead of brown. So, little thing, but you'll notice that. They had a bunch of fixes for like the ceiling in water and treatment plant colliders, some collider BS, some auto turret colliders being on the default layer instead of deployed, some collision issues with zip lines on slopes, some bushes spawning through decor and not casting any shadows, some like miscellaneous visual fix stuff going on as we generally see. Also, they added colliders on powerline tarps, and that'll prevent dropped items being hidden. And we're seeing some more work on weapon racks as well. And I don't know if we're going to see that come in for February, but it looks like it's getting close for prime time here. And if you're not familiar, it looks like weapon racks will be this deployable object where you will be able to actually toss your gun towards it and it'll pick up. And then also it'll be visually representative of the inventory you have or the weapons you have on the rack. So instead of clicking on the rack and going into a UI element and then dragging one icon from one place to another like you do with boxes, it looks like you'll be able to just go up to the weapon rack, point at the gun you want, click, and then it'll automatically come into your inventory with no UI needed, which is pretty cool. But we'll keep a close eye on that once it gets merged in and let you know the specifics. It looks like maybe there'll be a small, medium, and large weapon rack as well based on commits, but it's hard to say because this branch has had commits for a good couple months. It started off as a hack week project that looks like it is going to go into production, but we'll keep you posted. And then finally, they are testing in an experimental form, enabling native Apple Silicon build. So if anyone's working on a M1 or M2 Mac, that's good news for you because it looks like you'll be able to potentially play an optimized version of the game on those systems at some point in the near future. I want to clarify it's not necessarily ready for prime time yet, but they are experimenting with it. So it does look like at some point we'll see that. So yeah, that about does it for everything going on in Rust development. Shadow, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yeah, we have some. First, let's start with when's whip and is there an update today?
Well, WIP is at the regular scheduled time for each region when you're talking Rustified servers. And this is 3 p.m. local time for the region. Please note, we did move that. It used to be last year 5 p.m. local time for the region. But we did a vote at the end of last year, and the vote was very close. And I frankly made the executive decision to say, let's wipe 2 hours earlier and have 2 more hours of wipe time of playtime on wipe day. That just makes sense to me. And so we did that starting this year. So that means 3 p.m. local time for each region is when the wipes happen on not first Thursday forced wipes. So today that means, what was it? 2 hours and 17 minutes ago, the EU servers wiped, and it is the weekly and bi weekly Thursday wipe servers wiping today. So that's mains, mediums, trios, barons, small, Zen Labs, EUS in EU. If you're talking AU, SEA, those servers wiped like 12, 13 hours ago at this point because they live in the future. And then for US servers, we are wiping at 3 p.m. EST, which is just about a little over an hour and a half from now. And that's going to be US main, mediums, trio, small, baron, and Zen Labs. Real quick note on Zen Labs. If you're not familiar, Zen Labs, we're currently on those servers playing Happus. And if you saw the dev blog from earlier this month, you'll notice Happus is actually no longer going to be supported as of February. We're playing with what we're going to do on the Zen Labs servers, but it looks like the working thing I'm planning on is just keeping it a weekly wipe server, but then dropping it to a small proc-gen map. So it's more like PvP oriented, small, fast gameplay is what I'm thinking. And we're just going to play with that and see. Zen Labs, if you're not familiar, it used to be our Savas servers. And then when Savas went away, we just went with the branding of Zen Labs because that's a brand you find in the game. And the labs kind of denoted like, hey, we'll experiment here. We'll play with what people want and also play with some custom maps that are still vanilla friendly. I would love to do some more custom map hosting on those servers, but the fact of the matter is a lot of the custom maps are not just quite there yet and don't provide a reliable vanilla gameplay experience. So in lieu of that, we're probably just going to do some vanilla small map proc gen weekly wipe PvP action on our Zen Labs servers as of February, just as a heads up for anyone who plays Zen Labs or Happus. Also, apparently, there is a community Happus server. We might play with trying that for a week or two, but we'll see. We're just going to play with it. Anyway, any other questions, Shadow?
Yeah, I was just replying to one in chat. He was asking what time on February 2nd the update is available, which is usually the 2 p.m. EST.
Yes, the normal forced wipe time, the time where the updates come out, has not changed because that's dictated by FacePunch. And that's the other thing with us moving the wipe times to 3 p.m. It's like closer in line with when FacePunch does the forced wipes anyway. It just seemed to make more sense to me, the whole thing. But and sorry if you missed that we did that and then you're showing up 2 hours late to the wipe and you're like, what? I thought I was supposed to what? I know it's a rocky couple of weeks for everyone to get the memo, but I do appreciate your understanding and your patience with that, and know that we're really doing it to try to optimize gameplay time on wipe days and give you guys the best experience. But shit, what was the question? I'm just like blabbering over here.
No, it was just about the 2 p.m.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's still gonna be 2 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. GMT for the normal force wipes on February 2nd and every first Thursday going forward.
And one was asking about Happy's map, but you just covered that one.
Oh yeah.
But he also asked, also, do we know if pets will make it in February?
I don't think pets are going to make it in February. And that's mainly because the industrial system is set to go live in February. And that is such a game changer in and of itself. I don't see them pushing out two huge and separate feature sets in one update. They're probably going to wait on pets for another month or so.
When will they fix pixel gap?
The pixel gaps in building and stuff like that, I'm not sure. I know they are aware of it because if you look at just the industrial pipes and the changes that they made this week, not only did they make it so pipes can't go through walls and must be piped through doors and they can be piped through closed doors, but they did in that as well add a small diameter to the pipes such that they can't be run through pixel gaps in buildings. So that tells me the devs are aware of it. Will they resolve it? I don't know. We'll see.
Do you have to research gunpowder and other default BPs for industrial production? And how much scrap is that?
So that's interesting. The industrial production and specifically the autocrafter with the blueprints is up in the air. It still seems to be a work in progress. They did, it seems, add a input and output for the blueprints on the industrial crafter. So you'll be able to feed it a new blueprint given certain conditions, it looks like, and then take out a blueprint. But with regards to crafting something like gunpowder, where, hey, that's a default blueprint. So how are you going to give it a blueprint in the autocrafter when, I mean, you know it by default, right? Well, what you can do is you can go, as it stands now, go to the research bench, grab some scrap, and and then you can research it through there, get the blueprint through there, and then add that to the autocrafter. I'm not sure if that's how the system's going to go live or if there's going to be some other type of blueprint system that they do with that. But as it stands now, last we tested, you can you can actually create on the research table a blueprint of a default item such as gunpowder. You can't do it with like torches, but it looks like all the default blueprint items of things you would want to autocraft has been accounted for based on our testing.
Here, can pipes go through the windows?
That's a good question, and I don't know. And this is one of the things where it really stinks we're not on Aux 2, because if we were on Aux 2 and Aux 2 is working, we could easily test that real quick. But I can't say with confidence either way. I don't know if you guys had a chance to test that between when they made this change and now.
Unfortunately, not recently.
Yeah, so I can't say for sure. We will test that, the pipes going through windows or not, and let you know. And ideally next week for the update preview stream, we will be on the aux 2 or whatever branch has industrial system on it. We will be there next week to be able to show everything off. Once again, if you're just tuning in, the staging branches as of when we started the stream are broken, given the dev team tried to launch a server update to update Unity earlier today, and then they had to revert it. And within that whole process, staging just kind of got borked. So unfortunately, we can't show off industrial stuff today, but next week, hopefully, we can.
Do you think they will be working on modifying? He actually says the worst crosshairs made in history of FPS.
You know, my brain just stopped being able to process any of the words you were saying halfway through what you were just saying. Just all sounded like gibberish to me, if I'm being honest. I think it's my brain not auditory processing things properly, but could you repeat that?
Are they working on modifying the worst crosshairs made in history of FPS?
Oh, gotcha. The worst crosshairs made in history of first person shooters. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about crosshair tweaks since the, of course, PvP update, so I'm not sure.
Can the new items pipes go through the ground like a cave, vault, or swords?
I don't believe so. I think as it stands now, when they first came in, the pipes could do anything that a electrical wire or a hose could do. And now this week, what they did is made it so it can't go through walls or pixel gaps in construction. It can only go through closed doors. So within that, I'm thinking no. But also, once again, we can't test on Aux 2 now because it's borked. So, yeah.
Are there any more ocean items in the works?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. Off the top of my head, the biggest thing that comes to mind when you say ocean items and in the works is the ferry terminal and that server to server transfer stuff, the Nexus body of work. And that's also wrapped up with that is the clan system, which is going to be that basically team system on crack, which allows for messages and team management across multiple servers that are cloud linked. So when I think about ocean and the future of ocean and Rust, I think that ferry terminal, people taking a boat, going out there with their gear, and then from that terminal being able to switch and bring their actual gear and friends and boat into an actual different Rust server. Keep in mind with that though, the servers that are linked are going to be they're going to share map wipes and blueprint information, so it will hopefully keep any like drastic imbalance things from happening, like a geared group of AK people, you know, coming on a boat to a fresh wipe server type of thing. But also, that's been in the works for the better part of a year, and Facepunch is going to launch it first for testing. So, not clear when that's going to come out. Other than that, I'm not aware of any other ocean stuff off the top of my head being worked on.
Is there any work on the mini with flares to counter SAM sites since they don't render in time?
Not that I'm aware of. Good question, but nothing that I'm aware of off the top of my head. I don't know if you guys have any input on that.
Yeah, nothing I'm
Nope.
aware of.
Will any of the Rustafied staff be at a future TwitchCon? And do you guys party? Asking the important questions here.
Actually, before the whole pandy whammy, we were going to be in San Diego Twitch, and we were also looking at uh, Amsterdam TwitchCon. But then, and we even had tickets. We booked the whole place, and then the pandemic happened, and well, we let's just say we got some flight credits that we got to use at some point here. But maybe in the future we'll go to a TwitchCon, especially now that we're rocking that purple check, baby. Shit. But I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, conferences. I'm kind of an introvert. I'm not the most sociable guy, so I don't know. Going to a conference with a whole shitload of people is kind of a nightmare in my head, but we'll see. We'll see.
Let's do a recap box, and then if people have questions, do shadow_rustified, and we will, read them out after box to the recap.
Yes, as always. So let's do a little recap cap here. Once again, apologies for not being able to show off the industrial stuff today as we intended. The aux and all, in fact, all staging branches are borked at the moment, given the attempted release of a server update earlier that had to be reverted. So we're just we got Artemis just kind of lerping around the landscape here, but we will be back next week to show off and be able to actually test in real time some of this industrial system stuff prior to it going live in February 2nd. But nevertheless, we are 2 weeks from the big update and forced wipe on the first Thursday of February, once again, February 2nd. That is expected at 2 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. GMT. And the main thing that we're going to be seeing in that update is the launch of this industrial system. If you're not aware, this industrial system is basically a grouping of new items in the game. That when combined with each other and with existing items in the game allow for players and groups to automate their bases in ways never before seen, automate the movement and filtration and storage and organization of items, automate the crafting of items, automate the smelting of items with the new electric furnace, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So the industrial system is a game friggin' changer and is going live 2 weeks from today. Now, some of the changes we saw this week have been in the realm of fixes and additional quality of life, but most significantly, I'd say, is balance wise to the industrial pipes. If you joined us last week, you would have saw us testing the piping of items, and using conveyors you can send items through all sorts of places in your base. But last week, you could actually send these pipes through walls, and they changed that this week so that not only can pipes not go through walls, but also they have a small diameter so they can't be kind of finagled through any pixel gaps in building. In fact, they can only be piped now through closed doors. And if you look at Rustafied.com and scroll down, you can see kind of an example picture of what that looks like. You can see just the pipes kind of going through the closed door. And this hopefully satisfies some of the concerns around balance and around people just and groups piping, all their most precious loot and tool cupboards behind multiple uh, armored walls, and thereby throwing off rating balance. So that was the big thing with industrial progress this week. The other cool thing we saw is the adapters, which go on boxes and furnaces. They have lights, and when an item is added, a green flash will happen, and when an item is removed, a red flash will happen. So just some cool progress with industrial stuff. Once again, we will be back again next week, same time, same place, on the aux 2 branch to show you about what's going on in industrial stuff. And if you want a full rundown of the individual items being added for the industrial system and kind of how they all work together, and to get a sense of what you as a player can create with this industrial system, I encourage you to go to rustified.com and scroll down past my article this week. There's an article from last week called The Industrial System Overview. And between now and 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be keeping that up to date as much as possible with what changes are taking place on the industrial system. And we'll be back next week to show it off and answer any questions. Also being worked on, we've got RC drones in process. Now, originally I was thinking this might be for reconnaissance and stuff like that, but based on commits this week, it looks like the RC drones are actually going to link up with the auto turrets and actually be kind of this remote controlled uh, eyes and guide for auto turrets. So basically, the turret laser is going to be scaled up and used as a crosshair for the drone within a certain range. And so the idea being you plop up this drone, and then you don't need the auto turret to do its thing and wait for someone to be in line of sight and all that stuff. You can actually control where it's aiming and how it's firing. Based on the commits, this is what we're seeing. Keep in mind, all subject to change, but that's an interesting one. We're keeping an eye on that. Don't think it's going to go live for February, but we will have a full rundown and report on Rustified.com, and also here on our update preview streams every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. And every Friday, we put the VOD on YouTube. But as soon as this RC drone stuff gets merged in, we'll have more information on that. Also, being worked on, we've got the nuclear missile silo. This looks to be the upcoming monument. I believe it will be an underground monument, as nuclear missile silos, I think, traditionally are underground, and going to be an interesting large underground monument in the works. Keeping an eye on that, but more progress on it this week. Speaking of underground, there's also a newer branch in the works called procedural dungeons. And I'm not sure if this is going to be for a procedural cave system or some dungeons attached to the underground nuclear missile silo or something in between, but we are keeping an eye on that as well, and more news as it gets merged in and becomes testable. Also, check out the item store this week if you haven't already, because as of Monday, we've got the Chinese New Year or the Lunar New Year happening. So happy Lunar New Year as of Monday to all you, and happy Year of the Rabbit. And with that, we got some bunny centric items on the item store. It was updated earlier today. You can see the classic Chinese lantern and dragon door knocker, but also some new things, some red envelope charges, and a new door and some boxes, and the rabbit mask, which is Face Punch's custom new good looking mask, going live today on the item store as well. The mask, as with all other masks, is kind of a clone, statistically speaking, of the wolf headdress. So that is what you can expect as far as damage protection and all that is concerned. Now, in the realm of other stuff, huge quality of life thing. Small, easy change for the developers, but huge quality of life for people building bases. And that is allowed doors to be placed on top of deployables, such as boxes, sleeping bags, etc. That's a huge, awesome quality of life. And huge shout out to Jake for doing that one. Also, change to mushroom icon. It's no longer going to be brown. It's going to be red. So mushroom icon. It's going to be different come February. Look forward to that. There's a bunch of fixes to like colliders with auto turrets and zip line collision slopes and bushes spawning with the core system castings, fixes. You know how that stuff goes. Also, more work on weapon racks. Those are going to be cool because it looks like you can toss a weapon at it and it'll like slurp it up, and then you can like look and point at the weapon rack and just pull out the weapon you want by looking at it without going into UI thing. That's going to be cool. So I'm not sure if that's coming in February or what, but still separate branch, keeping a close eye, all that good stuff. And then finally, they're experimenting with an Apple Silicon build. So if you do have an M1 or M2 Mac, then you might be able to play Rust actually maybe kind of okay in the near future. So that's going to be interesting. Keep an eye on that one as well. And that about does it for what's going on in Rust development for the week. Any other questions we got, Shadow?
Yeah, we have a few ones. Yeah, just saw a German guy said AUX2 and staging are back, and also pipes do go through windows.
Yes, he sent me a message I just saw a minute ago. Thank you, German guy, coming through. Shout out, German guy. Check out his YouTube and Twitter and everything. He does awesome development news and is basically the go-to guy on all the skins and everything. Like really ties the community together and coordinates the skins going live every week. So shout out, German guy, and thank you for that clarification. Yes, the pipe tool does go through Windows, and I will update our article as well to indicate that.
Also, we do have a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yeah, we do have a YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
yeah, Rustified Gaming on YouTube. What we're doing with that, we had some guys that were creating some new content, but then one of them disappeared off the face of the earth. So I don't know. We don't have any YouTube guys anymore, but nevertheless, what we're doing at the moment is we're taking the VOD off Twitch, and on Fridays we're premiering the VOD from Twitch on YouTube, just in case you missed it on Thursday. And you, like me, I hate the Twitch mobile app and trying to watch a VOD on there. It's like YouTube's so much easier. So we're just doing that. In case you miss Thursday, you can find it on our YouTube on Friday. And maybe we'll do more with YouTube in the future, but it's kind of a false start on this past one. But what are you going to do?
Will we ever be able to watch our security cameras on Rust Plus app?
I think so. I think that it has been discussed in the past. I don't know if that's officially concept limbo thing. I think one of the limitations is going to be, of course, like networking and throughput and all that stuff. I don't think you're going to see like a live 30 FPS or 60 FPS feed ever, but maybe like a screenshot every 30 seconds updating, something like that. Maybe a motion alert could be cool. I don't know. But I don't know when we're going to see that, if ever. I do kind of feel maybe it's concept limbo at this point.
When will the nodes be fixed and not glitch into terrain anymore?
Ooh, I do not know. It's been a
Sorry.
thing. Yeah, sorry. What are
Yeah.
you gonna do? But that's kind of a procedural map thing. You know, when you've got, it's one thing if they're making a static map and then they can kind of tailor each and every little piece of foliage and nodes where they want it. When you're dealing with ProcGen and each time it's creating a new terrain and laying out all this stuff, it's it's tricky to not have anything overlap or be borked up. But the devs are aware of it. When will it be fixed? I don't know, but it doesn't seem like that huge of a problem.
Will Steam BPs like the ninja outfit be able to be a BP for auto crafting?
I don't think so. As it stands now, I don't believe so. It might be accounted for and changed, but like for instance, if you like want to autocraft a hazy suit, you can just do the hazmat suit. You can't do the Arctic suit, if that makes sense. As it stands now, based on our testing, maybe that will change, but as of now, no, I don't think so.
Will there be any patch coming out today, or can I just wipe my server now?
Man, I'd wipe it up if you want. I don't see a patch coming out. There was going to be a server patch earlier, and you might have noticed if you were keeping an eye on it, they did temporarily release a server patch, and then they reverted it back. That was trying. They keep trying to update the version of Unity, which, man, there's certain things. As someone who's a server owner and tracking development for the better part of 10 years now, there's certain things that just kind of get a knot in my belly, and when I see an update to Unity, that's, man, that's on the top of the list, because generally speaking, what that means is they might fix or optimize one or two things, but then like 25 other fucking things that were working break because Unity changed what they're doing and the game needs to go back and refactor, so to speak. So it's always kind of a nightmare, but it's a necessary one because Unity, if you're not aware, the underlying engine of the game is still in development. It's still in beta, right? So, and this game in particular, Rust, pushes the limits of Unity in ways that other games do not do with the massive multiplayer and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but oh yeah, I don't think there's going to be a server update today, is what I'm saying, because it kind of got borked. So yeah, no likely update, I don't think, until 2 weeks from today, February 2nd. Although maybe they'll sneak it in uh, between now and then, but it's not looking too positive for that.
And someone is asking if I have a cat. I do not anymore.
Fair enough.
Will a 5800 times 3D CPU upgrade help with my FPS from a Ryzen 5 for Rust?
Could well
Maybe.
do. Yep.
Could be. I've never personally gone from one to another, so I can't tell you personally. But generally speaking, if you upgrade the hardware, uh, especially the GPU side of your computer, you're gonna get better performance.
Yeah, I think you got to check where your bottleneck is in the first place and see if it's CPU or GPU first.
Yeah, yeah. Good call, Artemis.
Can you control industry items on Rust Plus?
As it stands now, no. Will that be possible in the future? I could totally see that, but the integration of industrial system to Rust Plus is limited at the moment.
And TempleTap says, I appreciate you guys.
Ah, thank you, man. I appreciate you too. And just a quick opportunity to thank everyone for tuning in and for supporting us. A lot of people tend to think either we're the developers of the game or we're paid by Facepunch to do what we do. Neither of those is correct. We are, in fact, just independent fans of the game who love reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And the only way we can do that is through the support of the community. So for everyone who tunes in every week, thank you guys. And for people who give bits and subscribe on Twitch, thank you. And to our wonderful, beautiful VIP customers, thank you so much, because literally we couldn't run the servers that we do and show up and report on development news every week if we didn't have such great support from this awesome community. So thank you guys.
Why do you guys not raise your server pop?
Well, that is a delicate balance, right? And I know the meta in the game, especially for a lot of the popular servers, is just, and this wasn't the case previously, but I guess servers just want to be the biggest and the best, and so they add a plugin that basically says when the if the queue is this amount and the server pops this amount, then raise the max pop as long as the queue is still like over 100. So like we're still making money off VIP. People still have to wait and buy VIP, but we get more and more people on the server, so we inflate to like 800 or 1,000 people on a server. And cool, if that's what you want, go there and do that, and more power to the server owners and everyone doing that. But I've been running servers for a while, and I can tell you that I don't think is a good experience for the player. I don't think it's a good experience for the server as a whole. It's weird having a server that inflates up to 800 on wipe day, and then like the day later it's on 400, the day later it's at 200. It's like, why not just have a server that's like 400 people, and then the day after that it's 400, the day after that it's still like 400. It's consistency, and that's what I'm trying to bring to our servers: consistency. Like, you can rely on good performance and a solid gameplay experience week after week, and it's not like one week there's 200 people and then another week there's 1,000 people. It's just consistency. So that's what we're trying to do. And if you just raise pop, you sacrifice gameplay, you sacrifice performance, you sacrifice consistency. So I have really thought about this a lot, and we've played with different things here and there. But the fact of the matter is, this is what I think is best for a gameplay experience for our players. If you disagree, that's totally fine. And I respect your decision and encourage you to play somewhere else that aligns more with your values, and what works for you as a player. But this is what I feel is going to provide the best experience. And I think that does resonate with a lot of people. So that's what we're doing, and that's kind of my thought process there.
We just got two gifted. So Scarpe gifted a tier 1 sub to Moobot, apparently. So that was fun. And
Cool.
then Temple Tabs gifted me a sub as well. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you guys for the
Oh, yeah.
generosity.
Let me see here. I think there was one I just saw in chat. Uh, uh, I don't think so. Nope. I think we're good.
All right. And I think we are going to wind down here if there's no more questions, because also there's nothing to show off, as once again we're not able, or we weren't able to at the beginning, to get on the aux branch. It does look like, and shout out once again German guy, he said that does appear to be fixed now. So if you do want to test out the industrial stuff, you can do it. Just join the aux branch. It might be, you probably want to run your own server and get admin so you can spawn the shit in. But if you're interested in aux branch, go to your Steam library, right click on Rust staging, go to properties, betas tab, and then from the select dropdown, you can select aux2, close that window, it'll run a client update, and then you can try this stuff out. We will be back again next week, ideally showing off the industrial stuff and all the changes and meta of the industrial system prior to it going live February 2nd. And we'll also, as always, have a new article on rustafied.com explaining everything going on in development for the week. Every Thursday, first thing Eastern time, midnight, we've got that article goes live every single week. And then every week, 1 p.m. Eastern Thursday, we are here for an update preview or just update stream. So a huge thank you once again for everyone tuning in. And we'll be back next week. A huge thank you also, Artemis and Shadow, as always, for being my co-MCs.
You're welcome as always.
Yep, welcome as always.
And yeah, and with that, we're going to wind this puppy down. I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.